Just one sec before you get off the narrative. Where is it's right there.
The restaurant.
Yeah, the
Pied de Cochon.
Oui.
Is just down. You see the yellow awning?
Yellow awning.
It's just the one beyond that.
All right. So this is where we're having dinner up in this really boring ghost area. Now this is actually it's the last place down on the left. It's where the yellow awning is.
Just beyond that.
All right. It's here. It's a police. Kitchen landmarks. The fountain here. The cathedral. You see the spire behind us. So what we're going to do is go in more or less somewhat of a circle or something, a corkscrew area, and then go to the cathedral, come back. But I'll be with you if I don't lose you. But that's where we're going to have lunch. It's right by the fountain. Okay? And then tonight we're going to walk that way for our bus. We're going to be here for dinner at 5:30 and back to Maryland to tell us more.
Okay. I'm listening to your schedule thinking, how do you have dinner?
You want to come with us to dinner?
Thank you. I've got to go work. No, I've got to go back.
You're invited.
My little church is having its annual good. I can't say that.
Can we go?
A 5-year bazaar. I think the food will be gone by 5. And it's good. Oh, we've got a barbecue set. Anyway, raising money as always. Okay, this is sort of the center of animation for the life of the old city. It's not in the dead center of the space, but it's towards the edge, in fact. And it's a good place to kind of bring together what kind of an old city it was. At the moment, it looks, I hope, quite clean and desirable. It's a very desirable place to live. New York-style rents, I would say, small because it's all the reasons New England had little rooms and no ceilings to defend. But anyway, still, it seems everybody wants to live here, and some of the old Geneva families still own some of these houses in the Geneva. So it's a nice mixture. It's one of those things that I went after it was Boston, New York by the Boston, it's radioactive. But with time, it's very convenient. I mean, there's no food shop in there, no supermarkets along there, nowhere to park. You're getting ready to go skiing with 2 kids and your stuff, Somebody has to go get the car and get it. You can only bring the car in if you're a resident. It's not a handy place to live, but it's viable. And you will see as we walk around, some people have made garages in the lower floors and so on. So it works. But anyway, we come up here for any excuse we have because it's a nice place to be. There are a lot of nice restaurants, and cozy, comfortable is kind of what it is. Anyway, things to say about the stones that we're looking at. Where to begin? One thing is that the stone, we can get the history together very quickly. They're all these stones. The building looks straight ahead with the balcony in front. You notice that the windows behind that balcony have this Gothic accolade. And the next two floors. This is Proof House, so therefore 15th century. And then as you go up, it changes. And it changes yet again. And you'll see a place in the museum where they will show how, when all these refugees coming in, they didn't have enough space and they just had to literally raise the roof. And so that has been done twice. And as it gets higher, of course it gets plainer, which is kind of Calvinist. We didn't waste our money by doing these sort of nouveau riche decorations all over. So as you go along to the left, the buildings get plainer and plainer. So you get to the corner, and there you have pure Calvinist architecture in there. There's not a dot of decoration on it whatsoever. There is, said this and stopped. And someone said, what's that little box? That is a clock. And that is, of course, an aberration in that the whole Calvinist philosophy is in a way what brought the watchmakers here. The watch was not invented by the Swiss, and the French, the Huguenots, of course, all of them, they were educated, they knew how to read, they were business people. They had to read to do business, and then began to read the Bible and understand that they were getting a lot of fairy stories told to them by indulgences and things like that. So, therefore, they were indeed educated, and they were craftsmen, and they were money changers, and so on. And one of them, craft was watchmaking, and they brought that here. And Calvin gave us punctuality. I mean, the Swiss mania with being on time. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're already late. Especially in the German part, but still here. So punctuality is very important, and he was minuted in many cases, saying, the clock in the square down below isn't working, it must be repaired. He wanted people on time. He wanted them on time to church, probably more than anything else. But, if there's a 3-hour sermon, you wouldn't want to miss anything. Anyway, so clocks we did that. But other than that, no decoration, everything very plain. We lived very simply. There was something called the sumptuary laws, which explained very much how you should live, how you should eat, how you should dress, everything, so that you were not wasting your money and throwing things around and having too much fun. Because, as we well know, they worked 6 days a week. They had catechism classes 3 nights a week. They had sermons preached to them on 3 times on Sunday, but they more or less probably had Sunday afternoon off. Sunday afternoon, you weren't allowed to dance, sing, play games, do sports. Somebody said they weren't allowed to laugh. Now, if you're not allowed to laugh, that's when you will laugh. I mean, you get that sort of that you get in school or something like that. Anyway. But it was a very strict, probably not a lot of fun time to live here. Anyway, the architecture tells us that. If you then look further along here behind the fountain, then you see a house which dates from the 18th century, where they finally began to lease them up. A lot more travelers were coming through. Thinking like the 19th, we had steam, people were coming through, and ideas, they were beginning to expand and relax a little bit, and they could show their wealth a little bit more. So you have this rather elegant townhouse, which probably replaced maybe 2, if not 3, of these smaller houses. We had fires a lot, so they could have fallen down as well as not been taken down. And you see they have the fancy dormer windows on the roof, the cornices under the windows, the curved windows, all of this little bit of detail, which if you saw the same period in Italy is much more flamboyant. But here, this is, for us, this is wildly decorative. So that is one of the characteristics of Geneva, that the normal thing was shop level and 2 stories, and here we have the skyscrapers of the Middle Ages. A good typical building would be this one. The level of the square used to be lower, and then they put in a cable car, like in San Francisco. It failed. After 3 months it crashed, it went down there the other way. Anyway, the level is still higher. Those shop windows should be a street level. And then you would have the 2 stories, and then they've raised it, and then this also has these bullseye windows at the top, which were open at that time. That's where you kept your cabbages and carrots in the cellar and pebbles, and wine. And then the top floor was what you wanted dry, like you hung up the laundry up on the top. So that's probably the last of the really typical. The oldest house you will see as we go along, which looks quite different. But this is kind of the center of life, the cafes, the oldest student cafes, supposedly called La Clémence. You have to be a pretty rich student to live up here, but it's not that far from the university. The collège, which I said was the academy, is down that street that way, but as I say, it's coming scaffolding that way. Another thing you see here, which is kind of difficult to swallow at first, is the building with the green shore, which is the Lutheran church. And people always aware of that, it's not a converted house, it was built to live in. The Lutherans, a group of Lutherans working in Lyon, in the silk industry, were not allowed to work Protestants in France. And they would come to Geneva monthly or so and have worship services, and they would borrow other churches. And it was the Lutherans who came here for big trade fairs during the Middle Ages who began bringing in the ideas of the Reformation. So they were tolerated. And so when they asked to build their own church, they were sort of, this is not Calvinism, this is fine. They had too much fun. Anyway, finally, they had the money, very important. So finally they were given this piece of land. It was an old city, fortified gate at that time. They were given the place to build that, as long as it did not look like a church, as long as it did not attract Calvinists into their churches. So it's quite interesting as you walk in the front door. There's no question, it's not a converted house, but it's no question. We all be there, and poke it up on the wall and so on. But no steeple, no bells, no outward signs, no inviting little tricks. But they were, and that's from only the early 18th century. No, 17th century. Anyway, behind us, this whole block is the Justice. And when you get to the restaurant tonight and you walk down there, or you can come out down there on the
Probably gonna go this way over to our bus.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Oh, good. You'll be right across from the Lutheran church.